Magena Timinandasya Ginandinishlake Chakshurvinitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Visam Stapitanyena Bhutavi Soyam Rupa Kadama Yamdada Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamanam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupa Sagrajata Sagana Tavitam Tam Sajivam Sadhaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padasagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Vitalishimate Namo Pracharini Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Vitalishimate Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Pracharini Vishesha Shunyavadi Pashati Adishadari Panchakapataru Vyaswaki Pasan Yukya Pachapatitanam Bhavani Vaishnavi Namo Mahavadaya Krishna Pramapadaya Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guratuche Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Gunavandi Jagapati Gopisha Kopidakantara Tapta Kanchana Gora Gira Devi Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Devi Panchakapataru Vyaswaki Pasan Yukya Pachapatitanam Bhavani Vaishnavi Hare Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna. So yesterday we stopped at Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 text number
27.
We're supposed to go to 27 or 28. I was using my phone yesterday actually. Yeah, 28. We're supposed to go to 28. We're still at 27. So before we do that, I want us to read quickly from Surrender Unto Me, so that we can have some view. Can you see my screen?
Yes, bro.
So okay, try to make it bigger. So we read from 21 yesterday. Was very nice. So let's hear from Surrender Unto Me. So yeah, a few people consider their own disqualification is more qualified than I. So I should be aware of my tendency to imitate him. If we see another activity and if they seem pleasurable, we immediately want to join in. We do not stop to consider whether or not such activity will uplift us or degrade us. So Krishna is instruction to Arjuna are meant to uplift humanity, even though Arjuna, being highly qualified, might do well by going to the forest and begging. Others who are less qualified will become degraded because they will imitate Arjuna without considering their own qualification or renunciation. So Krishna uses this example use him as an example, himself as an example. So Krishna gives two examples. First, Janaka Maharaj, who attained perfection by performing his prescribed duty. Then himself, I'm certainly not in need of anything. I don't have to perform prescribed duty. I am God. I am the source of all. And no one can force me to perform prescribed duty. Nor do I need prescribed duty to obtain my desire. Just by my will, an entire universe can be created or destroyed. Although he has no need, Krishna, according to scripture, why? Srila writes in the purport, we already read the purport, so I will not go through that again. So one may argue that some of the Krishna action on the battlefield, as well as his behavior in Vrindavan with the gopis, do not follow the recommended Shastra path. This is true. Although Krishna generally does not transgress spiritual injunction, he occasionally does so to please his devotees. So Krishna preferred to be known as Bhakta Vatsala than as a mundane moralist. If therefore a discrepancy exists between Krishna's word and his action, his word should be followed. No one should act in the position of opposition of Shastra. Krishna continued to speak in 24. We read yesterday also. In the first chapter, Arjuna said, if I fight, the women will be unprotected, and that will result in unwanted population of Anasankara. Yeah, Krishna encountered that argument and again defeat Arjuna's reason. If you neglect your duty and decline to fight, then you will be the cause of Anasankara. Krishna next compared the detached worker and the attached worker. Then we describe how a detached man of knowledge should relate to one in ignorance. Okay. So in 25, we read also yesterday, even a perfect person should perform his duty. Then 26, we may preach to the attached materialists. There's no use working for Maya. You can't take it with you when you die. What will be your eternal gain through your such work? Obviously, this is true. But Krishna here recommends an additional strategy to encourage those who are attached to use their work and its fruit for devotional service. Krishna again expresses that premature renunciation without spiritual realization leads to degradation. This verse describes how those with knowledge should relate to those without knowledge. A person with knowledge should, by his example and words, encourage those who are attached to the result of their work to engage them in Krishna service. This is practical. The third line indicates that we should first work ourselves and then engage others in devotional work. We have already discussed 3 levels of work. 1, working only for the fruits, Kamakanda, establishing Krishna as the goal. Yes, still being attached to the fruits, Sakama Karma, Yoga. In the second form of work, although the mode of passion is still present, one advances from passion to goodness by renouncing a portion of results for one's work. A person working in this way will gradually become detached, attain transcendental knowledge, and make advancement to transcendental form. The third kind of work, complete detachment from the fruit of work, Nishkama Karma Yoga. There's Sakama Karma Yoga and Nishkama Karma Yoga. Okay, so we'll talk more about that later. 2 men may be doing similar work, but each may be working with a different consciousness. Superficially, it may appear that their work is in the same, but the Sakama worker is attached to the fruit of his work, as well as the specific nature of the work he performs. The Nishkama worker is detached from the fruit of his work, but remains attached to the work itself. The quality of work is measured by their respective consciousness. The highest stage of work is when one is detached from the fruits of work, as well as work itself. He continues working, but his impetus is simply to surrender to order of a guru and Krishna. This consciousness was explained clearly in 241. Krishna described the thinking of ignorant attached person. This is one of the several verses in Gita that Krishna discussed the doer, Karta. Here, Krishna explained that why the foolish conditions to think himself the doer always accomplish the work. The work is actually being carried out by the modes of material nature. Srila Prabhupada, however, referred to the more ultimate doer in the purport. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimate is under the control of Krishna. This topic will be discussed again in chapter 4. Krishna next explained the difference between the attached and the devotional worker. Are you with me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Any questions so far? Based on what's read. No question, then we'll continue. Can we continue? So now Krishna is going to discuss about the difference between attached and the devotional worker. Okay. So let's continue. Since no response. Atwabitu mahaba o guna karuma vibagayo. Guna gune shubantanta iti matana jate. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty does not engage himself in the sense and the sense gratification. Knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for operative results. I repeat, one who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification. Knowing well the difference between the work in devotion and work for operative results. That's why, Prabhu, we want to read the purport.
Okay, Prabhu. The knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in material association. He knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and that his position should not be in the material creation. He knows his real identity as part and parcel of the Supreme, who is eternal bliss and knowledge. And he realizes that somehow or other he is entrapped in the material conception of life. In his pure state of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in devotion and service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He therefore engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to the activities of the material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. He knows that his material condition of life is under the supreme control of the Lord. Consequently, he is not disturbed by all kinds of material reactions, which he considers to be the mercy of the Lord. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who knows the absolute truth in three different features, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Tattvavit, for he knows also his own factual position in relationship with the Supreme. Hare Krishna.
Very much, Prabhu. So, very good. So, that is the point. The verse is very clear. One who is in knowledge of absolute true mind does not engage himself in the sense and sense gratification. No difference between work in devotion and work for operative results. So, we're going to be hearing more and more about this until Krishna will start talking about lost. Prakite guna samunda sanjate guna karumasu dana Krishna vido madan Krishna vina vichalayet. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, they do not fully engage in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performance lack of knowledge. I repeat, bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to performance lack of knowledge. I hope we get the point. Let's read the purpose. Asham Mataji, you want to read?
Prabhuji, it's okay, I'll just listen. What? Okay, purport. Okay, I'll read. The person who is analogical closely identified with gross material consciousness and are full of material designations. This body is a gift of material nature, and one who is too much attached to the bodily consciousness is called manda, or a lazy person without understanding of spirit soul. Ignorant men think of the body as the self. They accept bodily connections with other kinsmanship. The land in which the body is obtained is their object of worship, and they consider the formalities of religious rituals to be ends in themselves. social work, nationalism, and altruism are some of the activities for such materially designated persons. Under the spell of such designations, they are always busy in material field. For them, spiritual realization is a myth, and so they are not interested. Those who are enlightened in spiritual life, however, should not try to agitate such materially engrossed persons. Better to prosecute one's own spiritual activities silently. Such bewildered persons may be engaged in such primary moral principles of life, such as nonviolence and similar materially benevolent work. Men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risk, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Now let us take some points from Prabhupada's explanation. In the purpose, in the verse, Krishna said we should not disturb those who are engaging in lower activities. Well, the purpose Prabhupada is saying that it's actually very funny. The Prabhupada is saying that the devotee of the Lord is kinder than the Lord. That the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. So Krishna is saying, don't disturb them. And Krishna, Prabhupada said, no, my Lord, I will disturb them for your sake. To bring them back to you, I will disturb them. Isn't that funny? Because Krishna knows that they are all simply under the control of the most of material nature. So when people are being controlled under the most of material, it's very difficult to bring them to higher modes, such as goodness and all the rest. Very difficult. Because to bring a man in the mode of ignorance or passion in the mode of goodness is like you are forcing, you want to force a cow to eat flesh, or you want to force a dog to eat grass. That is how it is. When you try to bring somebody in a particular mode, on a higher mode, it's like you are forcing them against their nature. But the Lord, that's why the Lord say we don't need to bother them. We should just gradually try to help them. But Prabhupada say, no, my Lord, don't worry about that. We are going to take the risk of bringing them to higher mode. And that is why you see, when Prabhupada was preaching in America, practically he was taking so much risk. Even when he was going to America, he took risk going by ship. He had 2 heart attacks. To do what? To save the conditioned souls, to try to engage them in Krishna consciousness. The same thing that Prabhupada Krishna is saying here, that we should not bother others. And that is why you see in India, many of the sadhu, they don't preach. They don't preach. They just, they try to understand, oh, everybody is, and ultimately will come back to God. No need to preach to them. Everything is okay. This is their mode. That's why you don't see the Indians, they don't preach. In India, generally, they don't preach. They believe that people ultimately will come to God by Krishna's arrangement. But Srila Prabhupada, because he has so much compassion for the poorly conditioned souls. Actually, when the pure love of God come to the fullness, it transforms into compassion for the conditioned souls. That is why Srila Prabhupada is even writing against Krishna, that the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the ultimate purpose of the Lord. Any comments or question regarding this? Madam Micheka is joining us today. I register Madam Micheka. Any comments or question or contribution? Madam Micheka is a very long time devotee. Yeah, Shaya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So for let's say like you really like your nature is like for me, like I enjoy doing like sewing. This is like for me my offering to the Lordship. But at the same time, like I felt like I'm doing it like to engage myself in my nature. But yeah, well, like I remember Srila Prabhupada at the same time he took the risk to preach. So I mean, like for the devotees that they're not really into like those kind of things, I mean, like it is really encouraged in our movement to really go out, learn, to give Krishna consciousness. Is this like verse is trying to say as well?
Mataji. Say it again.
So what I'm trying to say is like in this verse, like I mean, like is it really encouraged like for the devotees to really go out there and really like give Krishna consciousness to other people, something like that?
Yes, if you want to get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, that is always one thing to do. You go out and give the mercy to the Lord and try to bring people. Because actually it's humbling to go and preach. When you go out there, people will reject you. They will say they don't need you. Get out of here. They will look at you as if you are a beggar. They will treat you as if you are a trash. It's humbling experience, actually. And that is what Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur was doing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave them an instruction. Go out and preach and tell people to accept Krishna, to chant the holy names of Krishna. Krishna is their mother, Krishna is their father. Just go out and give people the holy names of Krishna. And Haridas Thakur and Lord Nityananda, they were trying to follow this instruction. So they met Jaga Mandai. And Jaga Mandai nearly, he broke the head of Lord Nityananda. Jagai, Mandai, broke the head of Lord Nityananda. Just because he's trying to tell them to take to Krishna. So sometimes the devotees go out to try to preach this Krishna consciousness. Sometimes they get attacked by some unscrupulous people, I remember one thing when we were preaching in Nigeria. Let me share with you all. It's a very nice experience. Rasara Prabhu is really tired. Sorry, Prabhu. Are you tired today? You look tired. You are yawning.
Yeah, sorry, Prabhu. I'm a little tired.
I can see that.
But please, I'm waiting for you to narrate the story.
Yeah.
That's very
good. Yeah. So what happened is that when I was the temple president of Lagos, there's one brahmachari with me, who is my god brother. So we used to go out for Harinam and Sankirtan. So after a long time, he was telling us this experience. So one day he was distributing books because we went to different directions. So he was distributing books. So he met one couple and he was preaching today. He almost, gave them the book. And somebody came from nowhere, a pastor. And he came there and he challenged him. Why are you giving books to these people? Get out of here. Don't you know these are my members? You want to take my members away from me? Get out of here. So he was chastising this Prabhu. And this couple, they beg him, they say, please, we cannot take this book now. So they say, our pastor is here. Sorry, next time when we meet. So they left. So as they left, so this pastor did not leave this devotee. He continued chastising him. Who are you? You people are demon. You are this, you are that. And it was like irritating the devotee, And the devotee was tolerating all these insults in the public. People were gathering. And he was saying, Krishna, please help me. Let me control my anger. He doesn't want to retaliate. So he left. He was able to tolerate by Krishna mercy and he left. Then after 5 years, So this same devotee, he was going to, so the Indian temple is very close to our temple in Nigeria, in Lagos there. So he was going to the Indian temple. So he saw somebody was looking at him at the gate. Also because this other guy was trying to go to the Indian temple also. So he was looking at him. So when he saw this, our devotee, he approached him. He said, "Do you remember me?" He said, "No." "You remember 5 years ago? You don't remember me?" He said, "No, I don't remember you. Who are you?" He said, 5 years ago, I was the one who was embarrassing you in the public. You know, I stopped the couple from taking book from you. So immediately I left you that place. As I was going to my car, a car came from nowhere and hit the door of my car and broke my leg. So now I'm trying to go to this Indian temple so that I can get artificial leg. So he was telling him what the experience to him after embarrassing and insult devotee. After 5 years, he was explaining to this our devotee. You know, so you can understand how the Lord will not tolerate anyone who try to commit offense to devotee who is trying their best to share this Krishna consciousness. The same thing also happened to Jagai and Madai. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard that Madai broke the head of Lord Nityananda, he was coming, rushing to cut the head of Madai. And Jagai was begging him, pleading. Lord Nityananda was pleading, was begging him. So that is what happens, because it's not very easy to go out and try to preach to people and tolerate all their insults, all their humiliating experiences they are going to give to you. It's not very easy. So if a devotee is taking this mood of going out, you become very dear to Krishna very quickly. Because it's not a very easy experience. Today I was coming to my place after I left the temple and I saw some Filipinos. They are Jehovah's Witness people. And I was thinking in my mind, I wish we can learn how to preach like this to Jehovah's Witness people. They dress very nicely, they go in groups and they knock people's door and they go and preach to people. I was thinking if there's anything we need to learn from the Jehovah's Witness, is how they are preaching, knocking at people's door to preach to them. You know? So this is very nice. And I remember when I was in Nigeria, when I was selling chemicals, we sell chemicals in drums. So there's one of my customers, he's the owner of his company, he's a Jehovah's Witness person. Once in a week, as a Jehovah's Witness, he has to go out to preach. Once in a week, as a Jehovah's Witness, he has to go out to preach. So it's part of their standard that when you join us, part of your duty is to go out and preach. And this is the mission of Srila Prabhupada also, in helping to bring the conditioned soul back to Krishna, just like he expresses in this purport. So we have to understand this, that going out to preach makes you to become very dear to Krishna very quickly, because it's not easy to tolerate the insult from people. They give you a humbling experience. It's not easy. So when you made up your mind to go and preach, you become very dear to the Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. You can get the mercy of Krishna very quickly and Lord mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Parampara. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for that clarification.
So let's continue from text 30. Mayi sarvani karmani sayasya adhyatma shetasa nirasi nirmamo buddha yudasya vigata jara. So Krishna continues. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrender all your work unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desire for profit, with no claim to proprietorship, and free from lethargy. Fight! So Krishna is giving Arjuna the supreme instruction here. Surrender all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desire for profit, with no claim to proprietorship. This is the consciousness we have to perform our work. To work on this consciousness is the goal of our life. So we are not there yet. Many of us, we are not there yet. But this should be the goal we set for ourselves. When that day come, that I will surrender the result of my work to Krishna, and I will work without attachment to the result. And at the same time, enthusiastically performing that service. Because sometimes, okay, we may not attach to the result, but are we enthusiastic to perform the work? Because when there's no attachment to the result, to work with enthusiasm is very difficult. That's why Krishna is telling Arjuna, free from lethargy, fight. Let's read Prabhupada's purport. Somebody want to read? What Chintia, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Please.
This verse clearly indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna's conscious to discharge duties. As if in military discipline, such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of the living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because the internal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. He had only to execute his order. The Supreme Lord is the soul of all souls. Therefore, one who depends solely thus wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is the fully Krishna conscious is called Adhyatmasitas. Nirasi means that one has to act on the order of the master but should not expect to achieve results. The cashier would account millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. That is the real purport of Maya or unto me. And when one acts in such Krishna consciousness, certainly he does not claim proprietorship over anything. This consciousness is called nirmama, or nothing is mine. And if there is any reluctance to execute such a stern order, which is without consideration of so-called casement in the bodily relationship, that reluctance should be thrown out of. In this way, one may become vigata jivara, or without feverish mentality of lethargy. Everyone, according to his quality and position, has a particular type of work to discharge, and all such duties may be discharged in Krishna consciousness, as described above. That will lead one to the path of liberation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for the nice reading. Okay, so Papa used a very nice analogy in the purport. The analogy of a cashier. And that is how Papa gave a very nice analogy for us how we should work in this world. If you see a cashier in a bank, they are counting millions. You see them counting millions. But the money is not for them. They just carry out their duties. So sometimes if you now say, oh, because you are counting million, you are a millionaire. No, it's just carry out these prescribed duties. So that is the same consciousness we have to work for Krishna. Whatever we are doing, Prabhupada used the word here, Nirmama, we should know that it's not mine. So when we are working for Krishna, that consciousness, then we say that we are on the Krishna conscious platform. That's how Prabhupada started the purport. Okay. So it's very, very important to understand this. We should engage in our work and give the result to Krishna, or we should be Krishna conscious while performing our duty. Actually, there's no one in this world who should preach more than devotee. We are not supposed to be going out to house like the Jehovah's Witness and knocking at people's door, because we can easily tell people to walk and just become Krishna conscious. You know, that is the secret. That is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. How people should carry out their prescribed duty without attached to the results, and at the same time surrendering everything to the Lord. It's very important. Okay, any comments or questions regarding that? Actually, we'll continue reading this until we get to 35. Then after 35, Arjuna is going to ask questions. Then the topic will change again. So Krishna is talking about devotional service now, to work and not be attached to the result of the work. Okay, so let's read this one. Yema matamidam nityam tintas manava shadabanto nanushanto muchate pe karma bihi. Those persons who execute their duty according to my injunction and who follow these teachings faithful without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunction and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from bondage of fruitive action. So this Krishna is talking on how to free oneself from the bondage of action. Prabhu, please, you can read. Prabhu, you can read because Amadeus is in a program.
Okay, Prabhu. The injunction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom, and therefore is eternally true without exception. As the Vedas are eternal, so this truth of Krishna consciousness is also eternal. One should have firm faith in this injunction, without envying the Lord. There are many philosophers who write comments on the Bhagavad Gita, but have no faith in Krishna. They will never be liberated from the bondage of fruitive action. But an ordinary man with firm faith in the eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of the law of karma. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Babu. So now let's read some Prabhupada quotes. Manashai, I want to read the Prabhupada quote. Can you see?
Hare Krishna. But that is the greatest service. Krishna said that devotees, that you should not disturb them, but devotees are so kind and that taking all risks, just like Nityananda Prabhu took all the risks, Lord Jesus Christ took all the risks. Therefore, a devotee is more kind than God. A devotee is more merciful than God himself. We should always remember this. And therefore, Krishna says, Mad Bhakta Pujabhya Hidyaka. Anyone who worships my devotee, he worships more than what he can do for me. That means he appreciates the worship of his devotee done to himself. So actually, devotees are so kind. Krishna says, those who are absorbed too much in material consciousness, don't disturb them. But devotees take the risk, even the cost of the life. Therefore, devotees is so dear to Krishna. That will be explained in the 18th chapter. The person who takes all risk for preaching God consciousness, nobody is dearer than him in human society. Krishna says like that. So we have to disturb them. That is our duty. We have to disturb these envious persons. Hare Krishna, laughter. That is our duty to disturb them. And that is the great service, just like a man sleeping and somebody is coming to kill him. And other friend, Mr. Such, wake up, wake up, wake up. So he may say, why you are disturbing me? But that is the greatest service. He'll be saved. Maya is coming to kill him, to send him to the darkness region of hell. And you're saving him. Chant Hare Krishna and be saved. Bhagavad Gita 3:18, verse 30, Los Angeles, December 30, 1968.
That's all right, Prabhu. You can read the second one.
Okay, Prabhu. Let them go to hell. So it is very difficult with these rascals. Very, very difficult. Therefore, my Guru Maharaj, Gaurakishore Das Babaji Maharaj, they were not preaching. They were disgusted that I have no power to reform these rascals. Better don't bother. Let them go to hell. But still, my Guru Maharaj preached. He was so kind, and he asked us also to do the same thing. But it is very, very difficult job. People are so rascal, so condemned, so sinful. It is very, very difficult to raise them. Very difficult. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 17, London, August 23 of 1973. Hare Krishna.
So that is it. Devotees are very, very kind, very merciful. They take all the risk to help us. And that is why Krishna is saying and again, one who can engage in his duty according to his doctrine and who follow his teaching faithfully without envy become free from bondage of work. So if we are taking this devotional service, the part of devotional service, we should understand this point. You know, that working for Krishna is the highest work. And there's no work higher than that. Very, very interesting. Let's read from Surrender Unto Me. Which verse are we now? We are in 31. Let's read from 29. Can you see, Prabhu?
It's not showing yet. So there, Prabhu, it's showing. Yes, we can see.
I've seen it. Now,
Yes, Prabhu, it's showing.
rather than pushing one in ignorance to renounce his false activity, the while we engage him in activities that will lead to knowledge. Indeed, devotees should undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching grown men to try to engage them in the act of Krishna consciousness. Without positive work in Krishna consciousness, emphasizing detachment for an unqualified person may lead him to a world condition. And we have seen it. You know, many devotees were forced to renounce prematurely. And you see, in the end, it leads them to worse decision, worse condition. Some of them even become inimical towards the movement. So that is why it's always good for one to act according to his level of realization. To gradually try to act according to our level of our realization is very, very important. Okay, so that is why I always encourage the devotee, except if you're a brahmachari or sannyasi, walk and take care of your family. And if you want to work for Krishna, means if you want to work in the temple, you should be ready to live a simple life. It's not that A devotee should not work for temple or work in the temple. If you want to work for temple or you want to work in the temple, you should be ready to live a simple life, because it means you have decided to live a Brahminical life. And Brahminical life means simple living. Not that you are working for temple or working for Krishna directly, and you are envying the karmis. You want to live a luxurious life. You are envying, oh, I want to buy a big car. Then better go and walk outside there. Don't work a temple life, because the temple work will not give you such money you are looking for. So one should work, one should surrender to Krishna based on their realization. It's very, very important in the purifying of our consciousness. If we jump beyond our consciousness, we are going to, like it's mentioned in this place, it's going to lead us to worse condition. Will lead us to worse condition. That is why Krishna is telling Arjuna, walk according to your level. This is how I want you to walk. Don't renounce the battle. This is what I want you to do. Yes, Madashaya.
Yeah, Prabhuji. I mean, like, I just want to share like a story of our friend related to that. I mean, like, he was a senior devotee, and then he was just trying to like do his dharma, working outside, protect his family. And then at the age of 50, he was very successful already. Now he stopped working and is doing preaching, 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 preaching. So I think when you're really like materially stable, your mind is not disturbed because you're not a sannyasi. And yeah, I think I'm kind of like connecting what you've said and mentioned. Like
No, but that is
possibly,
a very good example. Thank you. You
thank you
know,
also, Mr.
work, save money. Then if you want to do a preaching life, live a preaching life, then you can do it later in your life.
He was a very me and my husband, so we know him.
You say what? I'm not hearing you, Mataji. Please use your mic.
He's a friend of me and my husband, this Prabhu, but he used to really like work first, attend to the temple from time to time, and then he retired already, and now he's really focused on preaching. So yeah, just want to share that. Hare Krishna.
That is it. But actually, it's very easy for those who are living in the first world country, because there in the country, there people are paid based on their qualification and according to their work. Not in the second or third world country, people are so much cheated, They make you work more and give you little money. So by the time you reach old age, you have not even saved enough, But in this first world country, people cannot be cheated, People are paid based on their work, based on the hours of their work, and they cannot be cheated, So it's easier to save money in those kind of country and retire very quickly. That's why you see many of them flock into the Holy Land. They have saved so much money, they don't need to work again, So, but in third world country or developing country, people are so much cheated. So it's very difficult to balance one's life. But still, as a devotee, we should understand Krishna always make arrangement for us when we sincerely want to completely dedicate our life to him. Like that. So any question? Because we are going to stop now, 2 minutes more. So on Monday, yes, Babu, please go ahead.
So I'm just gonna say no questions so far.
Okay. So on Monday, we're going to finish up to 35, because that is where, let me share the screen. What we are going to be studying from now. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, Prabhu, it's showing.
Can you see what am I highlighting now?
Yes, chapter 3 Karma Yoga, text 17 to 35.
So So that's what we're studying now presently. From 17 to 35, we're talking about Karma Yoga. Krishna is teaching Arjuna how to engage in duty, how to engage his work to him, how to surrender, how to not be attached to the work. Then from 36 to 43, the end of the chapter, we'll be talking about loss and self-control and how is it related to what we have been studying. So we're going to discuss that next week. And I'm very sure by next week, we're supposed to finish chapter 3 and go to chapter 4. Like that, we're almost getting to 1/4 of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. So we stop here. Sabaupadi jai, Vanchaka Patarudyasya, Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So see you on Monday. Thank you very much for coming. May Krishna continue to bless you and keep you strong in spiritual life. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji, Kuya Kavi, thank
Krishna,
you.
Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Happy Janmashtami.
Oh, happy Janmashtami in advance.
Happy
But Chris,
Janmashtami.
we are expecting you. Come for Janmashtami.
Yeah, Mother Raya, come early.
Yeah,
Prabhu.
come early. We need you. We need you, Mother Shraya. Come for your service.
Come
Brother
early.
Madhava is waiting
Prabhu.
for you.
I will
Prabhu
come
Kavi.
Sunday, I promise, right? Sunday I'll come, I promise.
Prabhu.
Okay, we are waiting for. We keep the red carpet waiting for you on Sunday. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, you said we're gonna meet again on Monday, but it's Janmashtami.
Oh,
Are we going to have a
Monday.
class?
Preparation for
Are we?
Janmashtami. Okay, we can come back on Wednesday.
Yeah, because
Wednesday.
Tuesday, Srila Prabhupada's appearance day.
Next
Wednesday,
day is
yes.
Prabhupada's, yes. So Wednesday. We'll see you on
Wednesday,
Wednesday. Next week.
Wednesday, yes.
Other
Okay, Wednesday,
28.
yes.
Sunday, dyan na po ako.
Okay, we're waiting
Okay.
for you, Mataji. We keep the red carpet for you. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna. Thank you again,
Bye.
Prabhu. Thank you.